Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone has been having a great weekend out there so far. Here to break down a few things in this morning's video. The first thing we'll focus in on is this week's storm system. This storm is going to bring a lot of rain for a lot of people. It's going to bring a winter weather side to it. It's just trying to figure out who's going to see that winter weather side. There will be a day we'll have to watch out for some severe weather over the next, I would say, a couple days. I'm really thinking Tuesday will be the day we need to watch, if any day. And then there is going to be a lot of areas that could see some really high winds. And I do think this could bring power outages. And I think we have to watch the entire eastern seaboard for this, especially as you're getting into southern New England, the down east areas of Maine, all the way up to Atlantic Canada. And speaking of Canada, we will talk about you guys with this storm system too, as I do think this will bring impacts for you folks. After we get done discussing that, we got you covered as far as what's going to happen for your weather for your Sunday across the entire lower 48, as we are expecting some impactful weather across areas of the northern portion of the country. In fact, we could have a blizzard in Montana, strong winds, even a little bit of ice up into the northern sections of the country. So we'll speak on that. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Below, so I can pray over it and so others have an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So we're going to start off by breaking down this storm system this week, and we're going to look at the GFS first, and we're going to compare it to the Euro. I could say over the last two GFS runs, it is trending a little bit more aggressive with this storm system. And, I'm talking about winds and snow. And, of course, heavier rain, whoever's going to get the warm side of it. So let's get going here. We're going to start off tomorrow morning. Here's our first storm system. This really isn't the system we're breaking down, but it's kind of a 1, 2, 3 punch, if you will. Here comes the first storm system. This is going to bring some rains across the eastern U.S. In fact, it's going to rain on top of some snowpack, depending on if you got snow on the ground or not, which of course areas of the southeast do not. I'm talking about like the lake effect snow areas around Erie, south of Buffalo, etc. I mean, it could even rain into the Tug Hill Plateau. This is going to run into a little bit of cold air as we're getting into tomorrow evening, so we could get a wintry mess up here in the interior New England areas, but even those areas could potentially switch to rain. But I do think it'll stay mainly snow for a large area up here in the Northeast. Not talking about Boston or anything like that, but once you get into the higher terrain of the interior Northeast and New England area. And then here comes our next storm system. This will be mainly rain Tuesday morning across areas to the southeast, and I do think there'll be an opportunity for some severe weather down here in Alabama and Georgia as we're getting into Tuesday afternoon. We'll speak a little bit more on that as we need to. And if you look at this 540 line right here, that is where cold air is trying to catch up with this moisture. So you see this little blob of blue here Tuesday afternoon, the 10th. In like Indiana, for example. And we keep this going, and it just doesn't catch up with it quick enough. We're getting all rain up here in the Northeast. I mean, Buffalo, it's raining. The Tug Hill Plateau, it's raining. The Adirondacks, etc. And to keep this going, this is all rain down here in the Southeast. The green rain, pink is ice. The orange in this particular output would show up as sleet, and then the blue is snow. And you keep this going, and watch what happens. We're getting into Wednesday morning, the morning of the 11th. You're going to just, what you got going on here is you got multiple pieces of energy sort of developing off this dip in the trough. So this is the big trough digging down right here, and we just got, I'm going to draw X's as for L's. We'll just do L's, okay? Those are your pieces of energy that are just kind of developing and then pretty much ejecting at the right quadrant of this trough digging, this cold front. Okay, we just got multiple pieces of energy. That's why you keep seeing the green re-show up, because you just have tons of moisture, tons of energy just firing off the right side of this trough. So you keep going here, and watch what happens here. Low pressure develops here over the Carolinas or the Southeast here in general. We got another area of energy up here. And look at the blue starting to show up. This is around Wednesday morning. It's snowing in Northeast Tennessee. Again, you guys have had a pretty decent start to winter, I would say. It's snowing in eastern Kentucky, western Virginia. And then watch what happens here. This turns into a more substantial winter weather event. At this point, it's snowing pretty heavily in Northeast Tennessee. It's snowing in Boone. It's snowing in the higher elevations. All of western areas of Virginia, snowing in almost the entire state of West Virginia, still snowing back here in eastern Kentucky, extreme eastern Ohio. It's snowing for the entire western half of Pennsylvania. And you go another panel over. This is Wednesday afternoon. And I mean, you're getting an all-out winter storm at this point based off the GFS. And look, the rain's starting to switch to snow. It's starting to inch closer even to like the Baltimore, D.C. area. It's snowing in all the mountains of Virginia, heck, even the foothills. It's snowing, I mean, heavy snow in West Virginia, snowing in even central PA now, snowing all the way up into western New York, and you keep this going again. This starts to develop into a 992 millibar low based off the GFS. And why is this happening, you ask, is because this is starting to take on more of a negative tilt. So you have a strengthening storm system at this point. And I mean, the rain even starts to switch to snow, like based off the GFS, like near Mount Airy, for example, North Carolina, like right into this area. It's starting to snow in northern VA. It's starting to get close to the DC area. Interesting development, okay? And you keep this going, and this turns into a pretty heavy interior northeast snowfall. Snow's starting to get all the way, and this is getting into late Wednesday night, all the way to the Catskills, the Poconos. You're trying to mix with some snow, even into the DC area, to the Philadelphia area. And then it moves on out, never quite really makes it to the I-95 corridor, and then that's all she wrote. And then we're going to get some aggressive lake effect snow behind this too, and we'll talk more on that over the next couple videos. But you see all the slashes of blue up here in the Great Lakes area. That is lake effect snow as we get another shot of cold air that moves over and lingers all the way into, this coming weekend. What about the Euro? The Euro's not as aggressive with the snow side of this. I'll tell you right at the dot. Here comes our first storm system. There's that little bit of winter weather in the northeast. Here comes a big slug of moisture for all the eastern seaboard. All right, this is all rain initially. All right, here comes the cold air diving down pretty aggressively. Is it going to catch up with the green, switch it to the blue, which is snow? Little bit of that happens kind of in Ohio. We get into Wednesday morning, there it is happening, and then it starts to catch up with some of this moisture, so it's snowing lightly in West Virginia, eastern Ohio, western PA, a little bit of light snow in eastern Kentucky, even all the way down to extreme northeast Tennessee. And I do think we'll have some snow showers back here in like Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, embedded into this trough. It might not show up much on the global models, but I do think it'll show up a little bit better once we get into these short range models. So there's kind of two things going on here. We got a big old rain bomb across the northeast, just strong winds with a strengthening low pressure over the northeast. See all this green? That is strong winds too. Cold air is trying to catch up with this pretty quick. And then that rain begins to switch to snow in interior northeast. And then it could be pretty heavy too. And this could be an abrupt shift too, Wednesday into Thursday. So, it could be just a wind-driven rain and the higher elevations of the northeast, and all of a sudden it just switches to some heavy, wet snow. And then check out all the snow shower activity as we're getting, in fact, we'll back this up a little bit. Snow shower activity into Wednesday night and a Thursday morning across the Ohio Valley, all the way down to the Central Alps, even some snow showers all the way down into like the North Carolina and Tennessee mountains. Look at these aggressive snow bands setting up. I mean, the orientation of this could be a little bit different. I really think that these lake effect snow bands could actually be a little bit closer to Buffalo, for example, off Erie. I do think just the entire western half of the UP, the lower Michigan area, could get a lot of snow. Of course, southern Ontario, a lot of snow off Lake Huron. And then, of course, Lake Ontario is going to bring some heavy snow to areas. I think Watertown points north could be a big spot for this. But lake effect snows will linger throughout the rest of the week after this, and then they'll begin to chill out a little bit as we're starting to get into our Saturday morning. So how much snow could fall off this? All right, this is the aggressive GFS. Remember, it was the model that showed the most snow, right? So this is pretty much the 2-day total. You're starting to get a lot of lake effect snow adding up, but let's focus on this right here. All right, so it shows accumulating snow all the way from, eastern Tennessee, all the way up through the entire state of West Virginia, even sections of northern VA. Shows snow all the way through the heart of PA, and then a heavy snow event for the interior sections of New York. So it doesn't even show a whole lot for like Maine with this, because the low pressure does this. It kind of develops and kind of goes like that. So that would sling a lot of warm air into Maine and keep the cold side kind of oriented like that. So, that's something to watch. How does this low pressure sort of develop and move? Because if it kind of goes like that, then you're not really ever going to get into the cold side in Maine. Could keep all the snow on this side. So we'll watch that, but that's how much snow showing off the GFS from this storm system. If we do get a closer look at this, and here it is, several inches in West Virginia. This would bring a few to several inches into the North Carolina, Tennessee mountains. This would bring snowfall accumulation even into eastern Kentucky. This would bring a lot of snow for central PA. And then if we extend this a little bit further, I mean, look at all the lake effect snow showing up here just south of Buffalo, over a foot. So this is between now and it's pretty much between now and the next week. And then we switch it and look at the northeast with this. We're going to have to get this in motion. Should have had this pulled up already. This is between now and about next Saturday evening. We'll just show one heck of a snowy second half of the week for the Adirondacks. I mean, it's bringing a lot of heavier interior northeast snowfall. I mean, Binghamton, even over a half a foot of snow. Southern New England, not a whole lot. New York City, not going for anything. Philadelphia to Buffalo. Man, I'm getting my states mixed up and cities mixed up. Philadelphia, not to Buffalo. Washington, D.C., not really showing any snowfall accumulation with this, but man, a lot of snow in the Allegheny, the highlands of West Virginia, the Allegheny Mountains up here into western Maryland, into PA. And it does show snow up in Maine, but this is mainly driven off this system that's coming over the next 48 hours. So, yeah, I mean, this could be a heavy hitter, but if you look at the Euro, not near as much at all. Just going to go on and get a little bit closer look at the southern Alps with this, and let's just get this all the way in range. I mean, that's it. Only a few tenths of an inch of snow for the North Carolina, Tennessee mountains into Virginia, West Virginia. Only a couple inches of snow. You do look at, say, the Ohio Valley with this. It does show a few tenths of an inch of snow from Illinois through Indiana through Ohio. Not a whole lot, though. I wanted a little bit of a better look than this. Yeah, here we go. It just shows that, to me, this screams just some snow showers across Illinois and Indiana. Not a big deal at all, but we do look at, say, Ohio with this. And, we have to watch places like Ohio because this could trend a little bit more aggressive. For example, Ohio, West Virginia, you compare that with the GFS, and it's a big difference, right? A lot of snow for West Virginia. You start to creep into the southeast sections of the state of Ohio. You start to get into some accumulating snow. It's just, there's still some differences in models, for example, for sure. And we get into the northeast with the Euro. I'm all over the place this morning, guys. That's all right. I've just been trying to avoid pulling up so many tabs. That's what I've been really doing. So I've just been kind of doing a few things on the fly here instead of just pulling up like literally 50 tabs. But this is the snowfall between now and this coming Friday evening. So it really honestly makes this just mainly a lake effect snow event. All this snow in Maine is really what's to come over the next 48 hours with this first storm system. A lot of this snow right into here is a combination of both. Now, one thing that the GFS and the Euro do agree on is the Adirondacks getting hit pretty hard with this. There also could be, a little bit of ice with this first storm system. But, we'll go on and show you that really quick. Freezing rain, a little bit of ice. Now, sometimes the global models like to overdo this, but, there's a potential for some freezing rain coming up for Vermont, New Hampshire, and even Maine. Maybe a little bit in the Adirondacks, too, with this first storm system, I would say. I think the second storm system, the big one, is likely going to be mainly rain to snow. Now, I do want to show some love for my folks here in Atlantic Canada. All right, we're going to go to St. Lawrence, and we're going to flip this to the GFS and ignore all that pink you see on your screen. And here it goes. So here comes the first system for my folks in Canada. We're just going to show Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. I don't think this system's going to do a whole lot for Newfoundland, for example. But this is the first storm system. Going to bring some light snowfall across New Brunswick, maybe a little bit of ice. across Nova Scotia, as you can tell, the pink here. This will head on out, and here comes the big storm system. Now, this could bring some ice across like northern New Brunswick as we're getting into Wednesday morning. This is all rain for Nova Scotia. In fact, this low pressure could cut so far to your west and north that y'all might not get a whole lot of precipitation at all in Nova Scotia, but a lot up into New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. And then look at this. Look at these low pressures. I mean, they're cutting like, I mean, folks, they're going like south to north. I mean, it's not like they're going like this, okay, or like that. I mean, they're going like that. So, you know, this kind of keeps the brunt of the precipitation really to your west. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get some high winds with this, because low pressures, when they, you know, cut to your west, are at least going to bring you some strong gusty winds. And eventually this storm system is going to move into your area. I just think it might lose some steam. But this could turn to a monster winter storm up here in Canada. You know, like Quebec, like you guys just have the potential to get a huge winter storm from this. And there could be a big time icy side to this too. 980 millibar low right there. I mean, that's significant. So, you know, we continue. I mean, deepens all the way to a 977. So this is going to bring strong winds, but mainly just heavy rain across Atlantic Canada. It's just kind of a weird positioned storm. And if we go and look at the Euro with this, back it up a little bit. Here comes that first storm system. All right. And, you know, just bringing a lot of rain. This is just a lot of rain for you folks. All rain. This is Wednesday night. Rain. And a wind-driven rain, too. We'll talk about the winds here in a second. All right, so that's what it could look like as far as rain or snow or ice. Let's break down impacts. And really what we're going to do here is show you winds. So, you know, kind of mix some things together. Already show you impacts as far as snow and what potentially can happen. But let's have a full breakdown of these winds, because I do think this is going to become a bigger storyline in the coming day or two. So let's start off in the mid-Atlantic, portions of the upper southeast areas of the country. This is for Tuesday evening. So these are potential wind gusts off the GFS. Watch what happens. We get this first push here. This is going to bring some strong winds. I mean, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gust already, even surging through the Carolinas down here, up through the Delmarva, all the way into Long Island, southern New England. I mean, 35, 40 mile per hour wind gust up into southern New England. Look at this area of strong winds associated with the actual surface low moving across North Carolina and Virginia, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust. Based off what the GFS is saying, watch as this thing deepens just off the coast. And then look at this. This is Wednesday morning. Strong winds down here for the Outer Banks. Look at this close to 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts are possible along the Jersey Shore. And then look at this. In fact, let's just go on and move it to this. This is for Wednesday afternoon. The GFS going for a 72 mile per hour wind gust. Not sustained, but wind gust out in Cape Hatteras, the Outer Banks. Strong tropical storm force wind conditions, wind gusts. So, you know, you look at the coastal regions of Maryland, Delaware, the New Jersey shoreline, up into Long Island. I mean, the strongest winds are just off the coastline, but they're still inland enough to where you guys are getting impacts. I mean, we got this corridor right into here of 40 to 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gust. And then look how this area of winds kind of moves onshore into southern New England. Begins to calm down a little bit for the mid-Atlantic. So let's go on and jump to, let's go into, I know we're going to go here. We're going to go to southern, right here. Okay, let's back it up a little bit. Let's see how this builds up for southern New England. So Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Long Island, etc. On to this. Winds are already gusting pretty good Wednesday morning from Long Island up to Boston, all the way to the coastal regions of Maine. And then look what happens. We're getting to Wednesday afternoon. Very strong winds, wind-driven rain, not a blizzard, rain. And then look what happens. We're getting to Wednesday evening. So this is Wednesday evening. We got 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts coming up into Long Island. Up to Boston, we got 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Just strong winds across all of southern New England. Look out here, Cape Cod, 70 miles per hour winds is possible. And look at this. This is kind of getting into late Wednesday evening. The GFS is probably overdoing this, but going for 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts being possible into southeast southern New England. I mean, this could be a high impact storm wind wise. And then it moves in and it moves out. And by the time we're waking up Thursday morning, things begin to calm down somewhat. But you do look at Maine, back it up a little bit. Tuesday evening, here it comes. First kind of push. This first initial low pressure moves in. Strong winds already from the southern Maine coastline all the way to the down east areas of Maine, already gusting to 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. And then here comes the big push of winds. This is getting into late Wednesday evening. Wind gust up to 50 to 65 miles per hour in southern areas of Maine, the down east areas of Maine. And then these strong winds get all the way across the entire state of Maine. So Caribou, GFS going for 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And then we keep this going, and this starts to blast through Nova Scotia, New Brunswick as we're getting into Thursday morning. Now, this is the worst case scenario. You kind of compare this against the Euro. Very strong winds, but it's a little bit further to the east, I would say. It does bring this corridor, very strong winds, into the down east areas of Maine, but it doesn't bring it near as inland as the GFS. So, I do want to talk about my friends up here in Atlantic Canada with these winds, because I do think by far this will bring the highest impacts is the winds. So you guys go off kilometers per hour. So these are wind gusts in kilometers per hour. Getting into Wednesday, this is just kind of a straight run with it. And we'll go on and clear it all the way through Thursday, all the way into Friday morning. So the entire area of New Brunswick going for anywhere from 100 to 130 kilometer per hour winds, and wind gusts. Okay, this is high end winds. Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, you guys maybe a little bit further down, but if you live in the western sections of Nova Scotia, this could be a big event. 100, 120 to 125 kilometer per hour wind gusts are possible. Prince Edward Island, 90 to 110. Strong winds with this. This could be a high impact wind maker for you guys. So, I don't think I showed you guys snow, but I don't really think you're going to get much snow out of this. Some ice is possible, though. But talking about rain from this, precipitation, I would say, from this as a whole, it's between now and the next 5 days. It's between a couple pushes of energy. We're going to get a good swath of, in this purple to red area, 2 to 3 inches of rain down here. Same thing with West Virginia and Virginia, more so like an inch to 2 inches of rain. But some of this could be snow in this section right here. Now, I really think these areas right into here, like the down east areas of Maine, all the way down to southern New England, all rain for the most part. And you could get anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of it. So a lot of rain with this. Once you start to get into the interior northeast areas, some of this could be snow, heavy, wet snow. And there is a severe weather side to this too. But this is for Tuesday. Right now, just a marginal risk stretching from just outside of Mobile, all the way to Macon, Georgia, all the way down to almost Panama City, Florida, all the way up to just south of Atlanta. Montgomery, Alabama is included in this. Dothan, level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather. But it's not a big deal, and that's all because of the tilt of this system. It's just really not, I would say, supportive of a big-time severe weather event. So let's break down today's weather, because there's some things to talk about. We have 3 pieces of energy, one down here for the south central U.S., Louisiana. This is bringing rain across southern Texas, starting to move into Louisiana, even some rain showers already into the deep and mid-south. We have this clipper that's bringing some heavy snow across the state of Maine this morning, and then some snow across New Brunswick, even a little bit of snow into Nova Scotia. And then we have this next system moving through. This is a pretty powerful storm system right here, and I wouldn't say a major storm system, but this system, which doesn't look huge, is going to pack a punch But this is going to bring a wintry mess across northern Minnesota. It's already starting to bring it for northeast sections of North Dakota. Tongue twister. It's going to bring a little bit of ice on, on top of a few to several inches of snow, or under a few to several inches of snow. And then you see this system back here. This upper low is going to kind of pull down, and it's going to bring blizzard conditions across the eastern sections of Montana later today. In fact, there's blizzard warnings up. Speaking of those watches and warnings, here it is. Look at the blizzard warnings up for eastern sections of Montana. Surrounding this is just winter weather advisories. And then we have special weather statements across the western sections of North Dakota. And then if you look right in here, Grand Forks, Fargo, over the International Falls, we have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. We have winter storm warnings for northern sections of Minnesota, northeast Minnesota. Now, this winter storm warning is a little bit different because, they're calling for about 3 to 8 inches of snow and some very light ice accumulations, but they do mention this snow is forecast to have a lower snow to liquid ratio. So basically what they're saying is it's going to be a heavy wet snow, a lot wetter than you guys are used to this time of the year. So I think that's why they've kind of popped off the winter storm warnings. When typically I would think in a 3 to 6 inch snow event, I don't know if they normally give you guys winter storm warnings for that, but I think a little bit of ice, heavy wet snow, that kind of bumped up to that criteria there. But Prince Edward Island and what island is this? I just was trying to remember what island this is. I have to look it up. But the more I talk about Atlantic Canada, the more I memorize it. But if I quit talking about it, then sometimes I forget some of you folks up here. But winter weather advisories across areas of the interior, northeast, and New England area for really what's going on right now. And then we do have special weather statements down here. This is for an increased fire danger. And then we do have some alerts out into the northern Rockies and the Cascades, winter storm warnings, things of that nature. Talking about the excessive rainfall outlook today, there is a marginal risk for that down here for the deep south, but not a big deal at all. And then there is just a little bit of a risk for some thunderstorms with this. Nothing severe expected, but a pretty large area of the south and Mississippi Valley does have a risk of some thunderstorms today. Speaking of the southeast, this is what it could look like. We start to move it into midday. The rain's starting to move into Louisiana, really take over Louisiana, and then it starts to take over Mississippi, make it all the way up to Memphis this afternoon. Rain for a good chunk of the state of Arkansas, and then by the time we're into this evening, it's raining all the way up into southern Illinois, Evansville, Indiana, and then by the time we make it to around midnight, we could have a line of thunderstorms embedded into this rain moving across the deep south, a soaker for Nashville, soaker for the entire state of Tennessee, northern Alabama, rain moving into northern Georgia, rain starts to move into a good chunk of South Carolina, all of western North Carolina in the wee hours in the morning, and by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, this storm starts to lose some steam, but still waking up to some heavy rain for areas of Alabama, northern Georgia, all the way into the Carolinas and Virginia. Not a whole lot of rain for areas of Florida with this system. But rain between now and the next 24 hours. I mean, you could get 1.5 inches to maybe 2 inches from Greenville, Mississippi, all the way to Tupelo. Most of the state of Tennessee could get 1 inch to 1.5 inches. You get down here into areas of Louisiana, inch. And then, a good bit of rain up here for areas of Kentucky. But if we go all the way to, let's go to the next 1 to 2 days, I mean, we're going to end up getting a good bit of rain up here in the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, up to Ohio, 0.5 inch to almost 1 inch of rain. This is not going to bring a ton of rain to the Carolinas, but I would say some beneficial rain, 1/4 inch to 0.5 inch, maybe more the further west you get into the Carolinas. So up here in the Northeast, this system will exit. We'll be left over with some snow showers up here in Maine. Quieter period. Finally, no lake effect snow. I mean, we can't rule out some snow showers out there that's not showing up on this, but for the most part, you'll get a little bit of a break. Okay, we start to get, but use this break to clean up because we got more messy weather coming in between the rain and then more lake effect snow for the second half of the work week. We start to get into the overnight hours. Here comes our next storm system. This is all rain. Rain will start to greet you guys in Cleveland to Erie. This is rain. Okay, it's raining in areas of West Virginia, all of West Virginia. It's raining down here to the western half of PA, Virginia. And this is kind of the first kind of storm system that's on the way, and this is going to eventually hit some cold air up here and turn into snow for the Adirondacks, Green and White Mountains, eventually into the higher elevations of Maine as we're getting into tomorrow afternoon. But between now and tomorrow morning, it's a pretty quiet 24 hours for the Northeast. The South Central U.S., we've already talked about this rain. It'll be just a rainy day across the coastal regions of Texas. But eventually this system will move out. We're going to get some thunderstorm potential in Louisiana this evening into Mississippi. This line of storms, watch out, could produce some gusty winds. But Oklahoma, Kansas, New Mexico, Colorado continues to be pretty quiet. Now the north central U.S., here comes the storm system moving in. This is going to bring some pretty heavy wet snow for the northern counties in Minnesota. It's going to bring some snow for even the UP and Michigan. Just kind of a thin line of moderate to heavy snow will move in later this afternoon to this evening, and then it'll move out. Some warm air will surge in. Could get a little bit of freezing drizzle into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning on top of the snowpack, and it could just flat out be rain. And then as that first push of moisture moves in and moves out, we have to watch for the cold air to kind of usher back in tomorrow. But definitely as we back this up, this is going to be some heavy wet snow for northern areas of Minnesota today, and a little bit of ice with it too. And in fact, we take a look at northeast North Dakota, a couple inches of wet snow. We get up into these northern counties here in Minnesota, 4 to as much as 7 inches of snow is possible. Once we get south, just a couple inches of snow. But we do kind of come off this a little bit, and we go, that did not work out the way I wanted it to. I was going to try to, well, here we go, we got it. Look, we could get a couple 1/100ths of an inch of ice with this snow. So this will just add a little bit of a nuisance with the ice. Of course, nobody likes an excessive amount of ice, but we move a little bit further east, International Falls. This will be a quick 6 to 8 inches of snow today too. But you look at northeast Minnesota, several inches of snow. 4 to as much as 10 depending on where you live. Duluth, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow. Big Fort, 3 to 5. Virginia, 4 to 6. Grand Rapids, 1 to 3. And then we look at the little bit of ice with this too. Just a couple 1/100ths of an inch of ice. Not even enough to bring the color bank on here at all. So we'll watch out for that. The western U.S., big area of snow will kind of funnel down from Canada into Montana today. So moderate to heavy snow with high winds across Montana. I think this will really affect central to eastern Montana for the most part. But this will be a flat-out blizzard for several hours. I don't think this is going to dump 1 to 2 feet of snow. I think some people get the wrong idea about a blizzard. But just several inches of snow and very strong winds with this. And then it'll be done with by the time we get into tomorrow. So winds in Montana, central to eastern Montana, even to the favored areas right outside the Laramie Range here in Wyoming. But Montana, 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. This will eventually ooze into areas of the western Dakotas, but very strong winds. And then you compare this against the snowfall you're going to get, and it's not a lot, right? Just a couple inches, a few inches at most. Some areas might get several, but between now and Tuesday morning. But this isn't a big snow maker, I would say. But we'll watch out for this. But just a combination of the strong winds and the snow flying around will create blizzard conditions. Temperatures, a warming trend today for the Northeast, probably into tomorrow also. You'll have a little bit of a snow melt, and you'll get it definitely tomorrow. Temperatures warming all the way into the 50s today in the Ohio Valley and areas of the Midwest. Somebody might hit 60 degrees around St. Louis. 60s across the Southeast, a nice warm day. And, just a warming trend across the northern sections of the country. Even the areas that are getting the snow are above average temperature-wise. And then it's warm across the western U.S. too. Pretty much the entire country. Nobody's overly cold. We got another push of cold air on the way. That's one thing I didn't really talk about much, is the cold air to follow behind this storm system this week. But we'll speak on that in the next video. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day.